Welcome back. I'm Wes Wood, the income guy. Thanks for tuning in. We're talking about the what's, whys, and how's of estate planning. We've covered a lot about the what's and the whys. Now let's talk about the how. Estate planning should include an honest family discussion. It doesn't necessarily have to start there, but those who will be affected by your estate plan should be told how they're going to be affected at some point during the process. And when it comes to physical assets, you may want to ask directly who wants to receive what. You may also want to talk about things with your family and children and family members would feel most comfortable in certain roles and what they need to partake in. Maybe one child is more suited for being your healthcare power of attorney, while another one is a better choice for your financial power of attorney. Naturally, these are complicated legal matters, so at some point you will need to have a legal professional involved in this process. The good news is that many income specialists work in coordination with estate planning attorneys on behalf of their mutual clients. In fact, they can often help you find an attorney that's right for you to help prepare these documents and make sure your estate plan is in good order. But this brings up another important point. For most people, the right time to start thinking about an estate plan is the same time you need to start creating a financial plan to meet your retirement goals. And generally, that means about 10 years or so from retirement. Remember Prince? When he passed away, he was only 57 years old without an estate plan, and that was just 5 years ago. Ideally, he should have worked with an estate planning attorney and his financial advisor to create a plan at least a couple of years before he passed away. And that would have probably prevented all this illegal and emotional turmoil his family has been tangling with and will tangle with probably for many years to come. The point is, estate planning isn't a thing you want to wait until you're confined to a nursing home or a hospital bed, or you've been diagnosed with a terrible illness. It's a step you want to take to prepare for all those possibilities and to help make sure your assets are legally protected along the way. Even if you're only considering retiring within 10 years, finding a financial advisor qualified to help you meet your retirement goals and income needs is a great first step in this process. Again, he or she can likely put you in touch with a qualified estate planning attorney in your area, perhaps even in their office, and together they can help coordinate an overall plan. And income-based advisors and estate planning attorneys both focus on protection. Their goal is to help protect you from many risks and challenges unique to retirement, both in legal matters and also, of course, in financial matters as well. You may not consider yourself old yet, and you may never consider yourself old, and of course that's great. But you will be able to enjoy your life at any age if you prepare now. First, that means identifying your retirement goals and switching your retirement focus to retirement income. But it also means understanding the what's, whys, and how's of estate planning and taking action sooner rather than later. If you need this help to get started with your estate plan, visit us at retiretv.com and you'll receive your free estate planning report as a part of the Retirement Income Kit. Now, this report explains common mistakes you could be making right now with your estate plan. So again, visit us at retiretv.com or by calling 855-776-0614 to get your free income kit. Now, let's welcome back our guest and income specialist and founder of the Retirement Income Store, David Scranton. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Wes, you make a great point. I think a lot of people think that, gee, I'm going to take my oldest son or my oldest daughter, and that person is going to be the executor of my will, maybe the trustee of my trust, my durable power of attorney, my healthcare agent. But the reality is it doesn't all have to be one person. Different people might be suited to different roles. So I was glad to hear you say that because I think a lot of people just don't think that way necessarily.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it definitely does not have to be one person to handle everything by any stretch of the imagination. So, you could be sitting there and you have a nurse as perhaps a daughter or son, and they're your healthcare power of attorney because obviously they're better suited for healthcare decisions. Where perhaps you have a son or a daughter that's a banker, and obviously they'd be better suited to be your financial power of attorney. So definitely, you don't have to feel obligated to pick just one child or one person to handle all those complex affairs. It could be most anybody that's well suited to help in that matter.
Yeah, and I agree this concept of not trying it at home alone, because there's a lot of things you could enter into a contract, and if you write the contract wrong, ultimately you sit in front of the judge, you say, well, that's not what I meant. But when you're talking about a will or a trust, you can't do that. So if you've made a mistake, it's too late to fix it. But like you said, this isn't a set it and forget it thing either. So how does one know when he or she needs to review their estate planning documents?
Well, rule of thumb is every 5 to 10 years, or if there's been a major life-changing event. Obviously, if somebody close to you has passed away and they're listed in the wills or the trust or whatever documents you may have. Also, if you need to update your executors or your trustees, because maybe that person that you appointed now is not who you want to handle those affairs. But that's not all. There's a lot of other reasons that you need to update those documents.
And the living will especially, Wes, right? That's got to be done more frequently if you want a doctor to accept your instructions.
That's right. If you have a living will that's maybe more than 5 years old, and it's presented to a doctor may say, well, this living will is 6-7 years old. I don't know if I can accept this, because maybe that's not their wishes anymore. Maybe they don't want the plug to be pulled, so to speak. So definitely need to get those updated on a more often basis. So it's definitely a good idea, even if you already have an estate plan or you think you do, to always have it reviewed and looked over.
And I think we got a little bit of time left, and you haven't really talked a lot about living trust yet. So where does the living trust fit into this whole picture of estate planning?
Yeah, well, a living trust is just another great estate planning tool. It's a tool that can be used to help avoid the probate process. Now, that can be a little bit more complex, a little bit more expensive on the front end to set up, but from my experience, people that have had living trusts have been much more confident to know that their assets are going to go who they want to, because it's not going to get stuck in the probate process. And another thing that a living trust can do is what we call control past the grave. So perhaps you have somebody, or one of our watchers have somebody that's in their family that they want to receive some assets, but they're concerned that perhaps that person that's going to receive the assets is not responsible with the money. So you can structure it to be paid out over a certain time period, and what we call have more control past the grave. But again, they're fantastic vehicles. And well, Dave, thanks again for joining me again this week. Again, I'm Wes Wood, the Income Guy. Thank you for watching. And if you have any questions about anything we've covered on today's show, please reach out to me at retiredtv.com or by calling 855-776-0614. Thanks, and we'll see you again next week.